So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and the discussion we're having is it necessary to have a spiritual covering? So it needs a bit of editing. I'll go in and edit it after the fact, after we're finished. But what I'm actually saying is, do you need a spiritual covering? And I don't know why it is frozen on this screen that I'm using, but thank God the phone is telling me I'm okay. So I'm actually going to go in and I'm working with this system. But what I want you to do is give me your insight. Tell me what you think. Do you think we need a spiritual covering? Yes or no? Okay. Okay, bless you, woman of God. That's good. That is good. It's good to have you in. So my system seems to be coming on. I'm not sure what's happening, but it's way behind. So I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. I'm looking at my phone to determine what your comments are, what your response is, because I'm not sure exactly what's happening here. Bless you, Sister Angela. It's just coming up on my screen on my computer. I don't know if you did that before, and it's just coming on now. But we're going to be talking about the necessity of a spiritual covering. Do you need a spiritual covering? Is it something that's biblical? That means, is it something that is man-made, or is it something that is actually in the Bible? So let's go in. But before I actually do anything, I would love to hear your insight or your input. Give me your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think it's man-made? Do you think it's biblical? In the meanwhile, I'm actually trying to get in myself, get my monitor screen back to where it's supposed to be because it's playing up a bit. But come on, love to hear your insight. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Do you think that we need spiritual covering? If yes, I would love to hear your reasoning behind it also. Do you think that Christians need a spiritual covering? It is very common in a lot of churches, and I would like to hear what your personal opinion is. Do you believe in a spiritual covering? Okay, so say yes. Thank you. So we see Sister Genevieve, Sister Maxine, Sister Angela say yes. All right, anyone else? I can't depend on this system to tell me what's happening, so I'm using my phone because it's frozen on my screen. We're going to go in and we're going to have this discussion, and I'm going to break it down and let you know what the Bible says, not opinion, because I want to tell you a secret. As much as we love people, too much this thing of going in and actually doing giving opinion, trust me, it doesn't work. I don't know if anyone knows this, but we don't want opinion when it comes to what the Bible is saying. So I'm giving you guys an opportunity to come in, to actually tell me what you think while I'm actually here, just going in, getting a few more people in, and I'm hoping you're doing the same. Help me to get a few persons in. I know this topic is going to be one that's worth discussing, and I'm sure they will enjoy it. So come on in, invite someone in. I'm doing the same thing myself, posting it to a few different rooms. So come on in, help me to get this word out. Also, I just want to let you guys know this quickly. For some reason, a lot of my my broadcasts, once they're finished, obviously we know the enemy doesn't like us. I don't mind that, but the enemy is constantly going out. So you know, my contacts are always clean, always respectful, and always going in, and we are always focused on the Bible. But for some reason, it seems someone is actually reporting these go lives, and a few of them have been taken down. So help me to get this thing out. So what if they take it down? As long as the world get to see it and get to hear it, as long as we're not being controversial or not discriminating or anything like that, but we're just talking the godly truth, that's what I want. So if you can help me to actually get this word out, because trust me, it's been fought on a scale. Trust me, more than you know. This thing is, all my screens are playing up. So I'm going to come to you in a second, and we are actually going to go in and okay, here we go. I think that's it. There's a few more, but my screen is playing up. I don't know exactly what's causing it. But let's get this word out there. The question has been asked. A few people saying, see, Sir Damien, salute. Sister Elester says yes. Sister Lady Ann, salute. Sister Stephanie says yes, bless you. Now, I want yes. Come on in. I would love to hear you guys' opinion, and let's get this out. Spiritual covering. What is considered as a spiritual covering in the first place? The question that was asked is it actually biblical? Is it something that we just actually made up as Christians to manipulate the people? Bless you, Sister Andrea. Or is it something that can be found in the Bible? Now, the next question I want to ask is because predominantly all the answers that have come in so far, the people of God have all said yes. My next question is, can you produce or show me any scripture that actually says it's biblical? Now, I'm not saying I am for or against, but since we're having a discussion, I am actually putting it out there. And I'm just asking, does anyone have any information of the scriptures that shows spiritual covering? Plenty of time for you to actually check your Google or something like that and actually post it in the room if it's possible. This is not a test, by the way. We're actually coming in as a family having a discussion, but I am trying to get this, how would I put it? I really want to get this out there. I don't know if maybe your mind have never gone there. My mind continues to go there. Is this actually spiritual? Is this just something that we made up, or is it something that we actually got from the Bible? So with that being said, come on. I would love to hear your opinion. Tell me what you think. Is this biblical? Is it something that we made ourselves? So I see Sister Elester says apostles. Give me a bit deeper explanation than that. When you say apostles, what do you mean? Oh, I see you. Bless you, woman of God. I salute you. Now I get what your message is saying. Bless you, fire carriers, anyone from the Hope and Army. Any woman or man of God out there, salute. God bless you. Anyone that's coming in that don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, I salute you also. Come on in. We would love to tell you why Jesus Christ is Lord. So come on in and join us. Absolutely wonderful discussion we're about to have, and I'm hoping that you will stick around so you can join us. Okay. Is it biblical? Is it biblical to actually have a spiritual covering? I know there's more people than that in the room. I'd like to hear what everyone's opinion is and not just what a few people are saying. Is it biblical to have a spiritual covering? We've had the opinion of a few people. Now I'd like to hear what everyone is saying. Also, I want to know if this thing is freezing up or what, because it's freezing on my end and I see the numbers go down and go up. I'm not sure if it's because it's freezing. Let me know if it's freezing. We're going to be looking at some scriptures and we're going to be deciding if it is. First thing first, I think I have prolonged this for long enough. Let me go in and let me actually tell you what my personal opinion is. In terms of having a covering for us as a Christian, because this is where it actually becomes a bit complicated. I always ask people this. So if everyone needs a covering, who is the one that covers the cover? The coverer or the one that's covering everyone else? And then, or let's just say I am the apostle in the fire carriers, so I am keeping them covered. Then who covers me? And then who covers the person that is covering me? And who covers the person that is covering the person that's covering me? And who's covering that person and all the way back? And I'm wondering, so when do we actually get to God for a covering and not actually just having someone covering us? I'm going to break this down. First thing first, I am not against leadership. There's a difference between leadership and covering. So we're going to actually see if we can spend a few minutes and break this thing down. Some of you guys, if you've been indoctrinated, or someone who actually have been telling you about the system of covering, don't understand it, you might be rebuking me right now. You might be in a position where you might not even want to hear what I have to say, but it doesn't mean that it's not the truth. So stick around for a few minutes. Do not just dismiss what I'm saying yet. See if what I'm saying makes sense. And then we can actually make a decision. A calculated decision and not just a decision based on what you've been taught somewhere else. The first thing I'm a critical thinker. I read the Bible, I go in, I talk to God myself. Ultimately, every human being is actually in a position where you're actually ultimately want to be in a one-on-one relationship with God. If you're going to live your whole life where you're depending on a pastor, an apostle, a prophet, or someone else to hear God for you, something is wrong. That's not biblical, not based on the commission that God gave us or the promise that Jesus left. No, so what I want to let you know is it doesn't mean that because you know God for yourself, the pastor, the apostle, the prophet, all the offices will be replaced. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm going to make it plain, and I'm hoping that you will stick around so it will be plain and you won't be confused by what I'm saying. But ultimately, everyone must have a personal relationship with God for himself or herself. If you're in a position where literally for you to get to God, you need someone else, then you're in trouble. See, in the fire carriers, I teach everyone that ultimately you need a relationship with God for yourself. I can't be a go-between for you and God. The definition is of a leader is not to be the source, and that's something that I think needs to be how would I put it, explained. Because I am a leader don't mean I am the source. So therefore, if I'm your covering, and there's nothing, you see, why you have to stick around and listen, or if you're watching the replay, you gotta listen to the end, because what I'm about to talk about literally it takes explanation. And if you go in and you just take something that you don't like and you just think that's not what my bishop said, that's not what my pastor said, then you might just run out the room before you get something that is very enlightening. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have leaders. It doesn't mean you don't have people who God has put in place. It doesn't mean, so ultimately, what if you were someone who got saved in a prison cell? What if you're someone that got saved, man, in the desert, and you're by yourself? You just had an encounter with God. You gave your life to God. There's no one in the desert to baptize you. There is no one that's there that, how would I put it? You don't have no bishop to actually say that you're authenticated, authenticate you. You have no pastor, no apostle, no prophet, no nothing. All that's there is just you and God in that lonely place. What are you saying? That if you don't have a covering, then something is up with you? Because we need to understand this, like I'm asking, maybe someone that's an expert on the term can actually explain to me what it means. Simply because I am saying, if you need a spiritual covering, that when will you ever have a one-on-one with God for yourself? When will you ever have access to God for yourself if you require or you need a spiritual covering? Now, I know there's some people here that are used to being covered by someone spiritually, or is also used to be in a position where you're covering someone spiritually. You might be in a position where you are actually rebuking me right now, but if you want the truth, stick around. Don't just rebuke me. Listen to what I'm saying. If it makes no sense, then dismiss it. But we're going to look at some scriptures, and I'm going to break this down. What if you're in a position where there's literally no one there to cover you? You're the only one. What if you're in a Muslim country and you actually met God? What are you going to do? Fly to Jamaica, America, the UK, Africa, in Asia, wherever? Are you going to go somewhere else so you can get someone to cover you? Bless you, Sister Charmaine. Good evening. Good evening. This is very important. What if you have no one that's present to call your spiritual covering? Are you just not going to be covered? This is my proposal. I'm going to tell you when a covering, and I wouldn't even call it a covering, I'm going to tell you when the chain of command, and you can write that term down, the chain of command, not the covering. And I'm going to tell you what the difference is between, there you go. So Sister Elesta, you actually, and you're touching some points I'm about to really cover. Now, I will tell you the difference between the chain of command and a spiritual covering. I want to explain to you, ultimately, When a soldier joins an army, irrespective of the rank of the officer that's over him or over her, the soldier is not working for the officer. The soldier is working for the government. Never forget that. So because the soldier is working for the government, it simply means that ultimately the soldier answers to the government. But then in turn, the government has put officers there to make sure everything runs smoothly. So if you have officers, then now all of a sudden you realize you have what is called a chain of command. Now, I'm going to tell you what's the difference between a chain of command and a spiritual covering. Well, this is the thing. Not only is God your first covering, God is really your only covering. Now, I'm saying this as an apostle that has many people that I keep covered. Kind of sound like it's contradicting, right? Stick around, I'll make it plain. Now, I can cover you, but I can't be your covering. Now, if what I just said mean any sense, bless you, Sister Florence. If what I said mean any sense, then let me know. If you disagree, I am not offended. I know it's the doctrine, so come on in. And if you're a pastor, don't just dismiss me. Listen, I know what I'm saying is 100% the truth. Stick around and see if what I'm saying makes sense. So my question is, bless you, Sister Uni. So my question is, when does the covering stop? Because I wish this was like Zoom where we could talk to each other. When does it stop? If we are in a position, if I am your covering, and my brother is my covering, and my brother has a covering, and my brother's covering has a covering, do you get it? Like, so what if someone's covering dies? Does that person need to go find another covering? This thing is not only isn't it biblical, it's not even logical. It's not biblical and it isn't logical. So therefore, as Sister Rose said, go deeper. I'm about to do so. Now, it makes no sense for you to actually think that a human could actually be your ultimate covering or even your partial covering. As I said before, I can cover you, but I can't be your covering. What's the difference between covering someone and being their covering? See, a covering is permanent while a cover isn't. Now, I'm hoping that what I'm saying you're really paying attention to. A covering is permanent while a cover isn't. So therefore, when you go in, you will realize that I can be a cover. Now, as I said before, I have given you examples or scenarios of people who are in the desert, in a Muslim country, a Hindu country. They have no covering. They literally just met God. So who's going to be their covering? If you met God in a prison cell, who's going to be your covering? If you met God in the desert with no one else around, who's going to be your covering? If you met God in a position where everyone around you is Hindu or Muslim or Rastafarian, who is going to be your covering? There you go. So someone can be your cover, but no one can be your covering except God. Now, how or when do you need a cover? Because I want to actually break that down also, that you don't always need a cover either. Now, if you are a part of the fire carriers, then I can be your cover, but I can't be your covering. Someone might be wondering, I'm a bit confused. What's the difference between cover or covering? I said it before. A covering is permanent. A cover is temporary. It means that within the scope of what I have been sent to do, then I can cover you in that capacity. For example, let me explain. If you are a fire carrier, then the covering of the fire carrier is actually on you. It means what God has placed on my head is now covering you also. It means that the angels assigned to protect the fire carriers is now assigned to protect you. But what if you're not a part of my ministry? What if you're not a part of the fire carriers and you're not someone who's there, who's actually, do you really need me to be your covering? I can tell you 150% no. You don't need me to be your covering if you are not a part of the commission, a part of the mission. See, the thing about it is, there's one army, many different generals, different officers, different ranks, and within that one army, there's something you need to understand. Bless you, Lady Winter. Welcome, woman of God. I salute you. Now, when you actually have one army, many different generals, I know this as ex-military, and I'll break this down to you, and I'll explain to you how this works and how covering works, or a cover works. Whatever takes place in a regiment, the colonel or lieutenant colonel of that regiment is ultimately responsible. It means that though soldiers might be serving the same army, they have one commanding officer, and ultimately he is the one that is getting all the detrimental commands from headquarters, and he or she is the one that is actually taking it down the line. So the lieutenant colonel gets it, and he passes it on to a major, to a captain. It goes on to a regimental sergeant major, goes on to a WO2 is a squadron sergeant major, goes down to the color sergeants, go down to the sergeants, to the corporals, to the lance corporals, go down to the privates. So therefore, the command within my regiment is only significant to me. If you should send me to someone else's regiment, their command means nothing to me, because one, though we are serving the same army, the same government, our duties are different. And because my duty might be different from an apostle somewhere down the street, it means I can't go in and cover someone who's actually saying, no, I can stand in agreement with you. But if you're actually in someone else's battalion, how am I going to go in and be your cover when I was not given specific information or commands regarding your mission or his or her mission? Now, this is something that is very important, that your cover is effective if you are one, commissioned or volunteered to be a part of the movement or a part of the mission. That's where a cover comes in. That's where a cover comes in. A cover comes in because you can't have many heads, and you can't, if you have more than anything that has multiple heads is a monster. Anyone agree or disagree with me? If you see someone comes in and that person have multiple heads, that's not a human being, that's a monster. So therefore, if I am actually serving in, no matter how anointed I am, no matter what my calling is, if I go to someone else's church, if I go to someone else's ministry, then I can't bring my calling or my commission to that person's ministry unless our destinies are intertwined. Then I got to serve. Do you get it? So ultimately, no matter how anointed you are, the person that is the head, the person that has been given direct command, is now your covering, or your cover. Is now your cover. Now it is important that we actually know the difference. If someone, because the reason why I'm talking about this is because the term is being just loosely used, just thrown out there. So now all of a sudden, I can just be a Christian, get baptized, and say, I want you to cover me. As a matter of fact, I have had that experience myself in the fire carriers, where someone that he never shared my insight. He didn't want to be a part of the movement. He just wanted me to cover him. And I was like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You can't just say blindly cover me. It means you could live in Timbuktu. If you're a fire carrier, then I can cover you, not be your covering. I can cover you. What does it mean? It means that if you are on mission for the same regiment, then ultimately the regiment and the commander of the regiment is responsible for your well-being. Let me break this down in military terms so you understand. In the military, you have joint ventures with NATO, with the UN. So you have soldiers from Canada, the UK, from America, from Australia, from New Zealand, from name it, from all over the world. They come together. and they can be under one central command. But ultimately, a British soldier, he's a British soldier. A Canadian soldier is a Canadian soldier. Bless you, great apostle. Salute, sir. It's good to have you. So I'm hoping that what I'm saying makes some sense. Ultimately, every single soldier that is from a different regiment, you can be in a joint venture. But then you have a commanding officer. A colonel in the British Army and a colonel in the American Army might actually be a part of the UN forces, and he's under an Australian commander or a Canadian commander or a British commander or an American commander or whatever. What am I saying? It means that once you are a part of the same movement or a part of the same mission, then you become the person that is in charge is now your cover. It means that though when you're in your own regiment, you're a colonel, when you go in and you have a joint venture and then you have someone who's actually the chief, regardless of what country he's from or she's from, guess what? You're now under his command or her command, and ultimately that person is responsible for your well-being. Bless you, Sir Conroy. Now, if you guys understand what I'm saying, then put some hearts on the screen, put some, I don't want to confuse you. If you don't get it, you need to ask questions, say, nah, Apostle, I don't get this. That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense at all. Also, Apostle Winter, if you're available, sir, after a little bit, I would like to bring you in, and I would love to actually talk about this, if you're available, no pressure, because it wasn't planned. I would love to talk about this soon to be conference and revival. Going to be absolutely amazing. So let me know, sir, if you're going to be available. But if what I'm saying makes sense, then you guys, come on, let me know if it makes sense. Trust me, it's totally different for someone. So ultimately, if you're talking about not the cover, but the covering, then it wouldn't be an officer, but it would be the government. So only the government is qualified to be a covering. Okay, man of God, no worries. Just let me know when you're available. Only the government is qualified to be a covering. But an officer of the government is qualified to be a cover. And a cover just simply means chain of command, in charge of, or actually, because listen, ultimately, when someone is your cover, it just simply means that that person is there for your well-being, that person is on a mission, that you might not actually know the fullness of the mission, but you're a soldier operating in a mission that is being commanded by your cover. So if you think that the fire carriers are whack, can I be your covering? Of course I can't be your covering. How can I be the covering of someone that actually thinks that what we are doing is lame in the first place? Makes absolutely no sense. So this term, the way it has been used, has been totally been misused, and it's time for us to correct it. Let me explain to you. Two cannot walk unless they agree. If we're not on the same mission, then guess what? Our command base are different. You can't send one soldier to do, for example, if you're calling the artillery, you don't want to send an infantryman in to do an artillery job, and you don't want to send the artillery in to do the infantry job. It means that everyone's commission was tailor-made for a specific duty. And it means that if you are an artillery personnel, then yes, you can identify me as an officer, if I'm an officer from an infantry or from a logistics or from whatever. You can recognize me as an officer. But recognize me as an officer is different from me being your cover. Only your commanding officer can be your cover. Now, this is important because ultimately, the first thing they're gonna do is check my cap badge. My cap badge means, what regiment are you from? Who's your commanding officer? And no matter how valiant of a soldier you are, the soldier from the signals is not going, the officer from the signals not going to take responsibility for you, because ultimately you're not under his command or her command, though you're fighting for the same army. So now what takes place is you find yourself in a position where you go out and now you're wondering, okay, So what am I doing? Because it's evident that we are all soldiers, but you have officers, colonels, lieutenant colonels, captains, majors. And what happens is simply this. You're now in a position where the information comes downhill. The higher your rank, the more insight you have. So now all of a sudden, the colonel or the lieutenant colonel for a regiment has been given a command from battalion, from soldiers above him or above her. Then he comes to the regiment and he feeds or she feeds the regiment what their mission is. But what you don't understand is he's not giving you his guidelines based on a mission, because he is also in a position where he is being given guidelines too. The reason why he then becomes your covering, or she becomes your cover, I should say, is because that person is directly responsible for whatever takes place within a specific regiment. So whatever takes place within that battalion, that regiment, that person is responsible for. If a soldier mess up in a regiment, for example, if a soldier got hurt, or a soldier died, or a soldier did something illegal, then they will go all the way up, and then it goes to the colonel, the lieutenant colonel. Then he go and explain himself to battalion. Why? Because ultimately he's your cover. It means he's responsible for your actions. He's going to be asked by his superiors, how could this happen on your watch? Why didn't you put things in place to make sure that this soldier didn't kill himself or kill herself, or didn't hurt the public? Why didn't you have someone, why is nothing in place to analyze the psychological state of mind of a soldier? Why is this soldier, or why was this soldier allowed to kill without being checked? Just a bunch of random questions I'm throwing out there just to let you know what I'm talking about. But these are real questions, real scenarios, real possibilities. And if you don't know this, then you don't understand how the structure of the church works, or how the structure of a military work, and why you have a cover. Now, the reason why the cover in turn has so much jurisdiction is because ultimately what happens on the watch of someone that should be the cover or the head, if you mess up, the colonel just messed up, unless it can be proven that he did absolutely everything he or she could, and yet you messed up anyway. If you think a soldier can just go out and just shoot someone who's a civilian, and it doesn't go all the way to the top, for someone to be summoned to give an explanation as to why those take place, then you don't understand protocol. The same thing applies in the church. The reason why you have people who are your cover is because, are you on the same mission as I am? Have God sent you? Well, there you go, woman. I'm going to use some of these scriptures you're using too. I'm going to use some of these scriptures you're using too. I have them. So you got it. So as a matter of fact, you're using, I think you're using 1 Timothy, and I'm going to be using 2. Let me make sure that I'm the one that's correct and that you didn't make a mistake. So 100%, it is very important for you to understand why a spiritual cover, but not a spiritual covering. Spiritual covering is government based, heaven based. So for someone to be your covering, it means that ultimately a covering is never detached. All right, if something is your cover, it can be on and off. If something is a covering, then it implies longevity. It implies so it's more of a long-term than a short-term thing. So if you're in a position where someone is your covering, then what happens? If you are actually no longer a part of, there you go, accountability, pretty much so. That's pretty much what it is. Pretty much what it is. If you are a part of a movement, for example, if someone goes out who's a fire carrier and they start doing crazy things and they're saying they're a fire carrier, then I have a duty of care to contact that person and say, no. If you are going to be a fire carrier, then you're going to have to conduct yourself with a little bit more discipline, well, a lot more discipline than that. You're going to have to act like a Christian and not like a pagan. You can't just do what you want to do. Do you get it? So you don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury of just going in and saying, oh, that's my spiritual covering. I've been there, so I know. I've had people who I'm saying, this is what God has commissioned me to do. Do you want to be a part of this mentorship, of this ministry? Are you willing to submit? Not submit to me, but submit to the movement. Now, what's the difference between submitting to me and to the movement? Submitting to me means that you're giving your will to humanity. But submitting to the movement means that you're actually a part of a movement that is heaven-based. The movement has nothing to do with the person, because if the person plays the fool, the person can be replaced. Example, Judas played the fool, Judas was replaced. And you can see that happening over and over and over and over again. You will see that Moses was actually given a commission, and when he struck that rock and when he was not allowed to enter the promised land, then you will realize that he too was given a he was not, I wouldn't want to use the word marching order, but he was not allowed to enter, and he was replaced by Joshua. You will see this happening over and over and over again. So your commission has a lot to do with what you're doing. You can't just go in and say, oh, be my cover, which is what a lot of people do. Apostle, can you cover me? And I'm like, I don't mind covering you, but why would I cover you? Are you actually, are you saying you want to be a fire carrier? Because that's pretty much what it comes down to. Because otherwise, you don't need the grace of a movement if you're acting as an individual. Ultimately, you can be covered, and you are covered by God himself. Do you get it? Just as a Christian, you don't need me to cover you. As a Christian, you're covered by God. As a Christian, we are all covered by one source, and that is God. Now, when it becomes a little bit deeper, is when it's no longer just about my individual Christian walk, but it's about the mission or commission. It means that if you are now, I'm a soldier, I have been trained as a soldier, but now I've been given a mission, and that mission that I've been sent on as a commanding officer. I'm hoping what I'm saying makes sense. And it now means that if you are my commanding officer, then I can't just do what I want to do anymore simply because I have a chain of command. But if I am just a random Christian going out, I'm not actually a part of no movement, which sound like a rogue in the first place. I think ultimately you don't be afraid to be led, or don't be afraid to lead if that's what you've been commissioned to do. But that's pretty much how this covering or cover comes about. If you are a part of something, and the Lord has placed someone as the head of that movement or the leader of that movement, then you have no right to be in a position where you're saying, okay, well, I don't need that person to actually cover me. And the reason why you then need a cover in that place is because if there's a chain of command, and I don't care how anointed you are, if God has someone that he has put in place to actually lead a movement, a ministry, then he's not going to bypass that person so your ego can actually be scratched or be stroked. It doesn't work like that. So therefore, yes, they are covered, but a covering, only God is a covering. Be in a position where literally each Christian, every single human being that is actually a Christian, is covered by the ultimate one, who is Jesus Christ. But if your intention is to serve as part of if your intention is to serve as part of a movement, of a ministry, then that is totally different. Totally different. Because chain of command. Anyway, I want to stop for a second. I would like to hear your insight. I would like to hear if you have any questions. Come on, ask questions if you have any questions. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. Bless you, woman of God. Thank you very much. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. I would love to hear your input. So let me know what you think. Come on in. Don't be afraid to share. I would love to hear what you have to say or what you think. I'm looking at my monitoring screen. There's a lot more I can do. I can put it like this. This is a very deep, deep, deep teaching. We're skimming the surface of something that goes all the way to the core. Skimming the surface. Understanding what it means to have a covering. Okay. Bless you, woman of God. So if there's anyone that doesn't understand, I would like to hear your questions. So please, don't be afraid to ask questions. I won't be offended by your questions. I recommend them because I'm a question asker myself. I ask a lot of questions, a lot of questions. Thank you for those hearts, Sister Angela. Come on, fire carriers. All right, can you have two cover? No. You can be, and because let me explain to you, you can ask someone who is not your cover to cover you, but that will not be on a long-term basis either, simply because the commission and the mission is different. Remember that your cover comes from your mission. Are you a part of, what ministry are you a part of? Why are you a part of that ministry? Because you see, most people, they go to church and the only thing they go for is to do not forsake the assembly of the brethren. That can't be it. So that can't be it. It must be deeper than that. So my question is, after going through the process where you're saying, do not forsake do not forsake the assembly of the brethren, what's going to happen next? You have people who go to church, and when church is over, they take their things and they go home. And I understand that. So maybe you're just going for the word. But my question is, if you're a part of a church family, that's a totally different thing. Because you have to understand, you have people who are a part of the church family and you're going out and you're not in a process where you can just go in, listen to the word and go, because now it's a bit deeper than that. You're a part of a family, you're a part of a movement, which means like every soldier, you're going to have to get to know that person that beside you. Makes all the difference in the world. When I go out to someone else's regiment, I am nice, but I don't actually need to know the person beside me. But when you're a part of your home regiment, you run them, sleep with them, fight with them, you better know them. Okay, let me see. There's a few questions here. Sister Elester says, remember when I was called the mentor by spiritual father? Oh, this thing is going off. I don't even understand what's happening with it. You're going to have to remind me, woman of God. I think I know what you're talking about still. Oh, yes. That's another thing that we can talk about, but I want to stay on topic. Spiritual dad. But that's another one. That's another one for another time. So, I don't really want to distract you by actually going to a different topic. Okay, Sister Charmaine, Sir Moses says, bless you, Sir Moses. Sister Charmaine says, sir, but Christians see their pastor is their covering. That's because they don't understand. No, you have to understand this. And your pastor can be your cover. Can be your cover. It simply means that if you profess to be, if I can use a great ministry, if you profess to be from the open army, then there's no way under the sun that you can be professing to be a part of something while you're going out and doing rogue projects. Because ultimately, if you are a part of the open army, then Apostle Daniel and Lady Winter, whatever happens, they are now accountable for what you do within that ministry. If you profess to be a fire carrier, then now all of a sudden, what you do is not just about you anymore. Now it's about the fire carriers. That's how the covering comes into being. It means you can be in a position where you are now wondering to yourself, okay, is this, are you an independent? If you are an independent person operating by yourself, then I understand that you can do what you want to do. But if you're not, an independent person, and you're actually in a position where you are in turn functioning based on something that you've been commissioned to do, or you're actually serving someone else's commission, then you can't just do what you want to do. Bless you, sir, Apostle Daniel. Let me see if I can bring you in now. You know what? Question. Can anyone that knows, let me know, please. Can you actually bring someone in on your computer? I know you can do it on your mobile, but I just realized I'm actually on my computer. Can I bring, I'm trying to bring Apostle Daniel in. If someone knows how to do it on the computer, let me know, please. I just realized the computer is a bit different. I'm waiting for the tech heads to actually give me some info, Apostle. Hopefully, someone can tell me how to do this. But trust me, it doesn't work the way we think it works. It doesn't work the way we think it works. How can you go out? So you have two cover. Let me explain to you why it can't work that way. Being in covenant and having a cover, even that needs to be explained. Now, understand this. If you have someone who is covering you, or is your cover based on commission, based on mission, you can't actually bypass that. The only way someone can be your cover is if you're a part of the same mission. I would love to bring you in, man of God. I want someone, I'm waiting for someone to actually tell me if it's possible. The only way someone can be your cover is if they're a part of the same commission and the same mission. Do you know you have people who you couldn't cover them if you wanted? Couldn't cover them if you wanted. So the question is, are you a part of the same mission? Are you a part of the same commission? If you are, then it makes all the difference in the world. Because every mission has a leader, a commissioned officer. So therefore, how can someone actually, what gives someone the right to cover you? Is it automatic that if you are a Christian, that a pastor, prophet, or apostle can cover you? No. No. It doesn't work like that. You have to actually yield yourself to being led, not just by the Spirit, but based on the commission that is in this mentorship, in that ministry. Now, let me explain to you what that means. It means you're now in a position where you're not just there to serve your agenda, but you're there for a bigger responsibility. You have been sent out to do something. For example, most times when soldiers of a certain rank go out, they don't have a clue why they're there, apart from they've been commanded to be there. Oh, so it can only be done on the phone. All right, Apostle, we're going to have to find another way to do it, sir. So I'm hoping that what I'm saying makes some sense, because it is very important. I think everyone should know this. It's not automatic. It doesn't happen simply because, okay, I'm a Christian, I need a cover. Everybody needs a cover. And that's what people say. Everybody needs a cover. Everybody needs a cover. So I keep asking this logical question, and I'm still waiting on the answer. So if I'm your cover, and I have a cover, and my cover has a cover, and my cover's cover has a cover, then my God Almighty, when do we actually get to God? It doesn't work like that. Your cover is only necessary because you are in turn being a part of something that's bigger than you. It's no longer an individual thing. It's now a communal thing. You're now in a position where you're not just on your own mission, you're on God's mission. You're not just there about your own agenda, you're on God's agenda. When you know that, then it makes all the difference in the world. It makes all the difference in the world simply because as an individual, you can actually be on a mission that has nothing to do with anyone else. Bless you, Sister Mitzi. Sir Antonio, welcome. Sister name, it says Neasley, bless you, welcome. I hope I didn't miss anyone else. So come on in. I would still love to hear your insight, your opinion. Come on. If my screens start working, like all the screens I have before me to make sure I can keep a top of what is taking place, and they're still playing up. This is crazy. The devil doesn't like what we're doing, but God Almighty, I enjoy upsetting him. I totally enjoy upsetting him. So help me to upset him some more, will you? Help me to upset him some more for sure. Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what is taking place with Facebook, but for some reason it's playing up. But it is very important. Sister Sonia, welcome. Everyone that's coming in, God bless you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Help me to, as a matter of fact, as you're here and you're coming in, share and invite. Don't be afraid to share with someone else. Bless you, Sister Maxine. I'm glad that you're actually listening to the words. They're very important. And it's very important we understand the difference. Or is it, so therefore, someone says, oh, I'm a Christian. Who's your cover? What if you were born in Saudi Arabia? Who would be your cover? A cover, a ministerial cover, is needed when you're a part of a ministry. Bless you, Sister Avis. A ministerial cover is needed when you're a part of a ministry and you're a part of a movement. When you have a general, an officer that is then that has been commissioned to lead, you need a cover. Because ultimately, no matter how clear your views are, someone has been given the commission and know the day-to-day guidelines of what should be taking place. It means that it doesn't mean there's a competition in terms of who can cast more demons out and who can heal more people. That's not what it means. You could be in the same ministry with someone who that person has been commissioned to lead, and you could be walking in just as much signs and wonders, if not more, but that wouldn't change the placement in commission. I'm hoping what I'm saying makes sense because it's very important. Manifestation of power does not change the placement of commission. You get it? So even if your pastor, if you go in and you're walking in water and your pastor need flippers so you can swim, it doesn't change the commission. I'm hoping that you understand that. It doesn't change the commission. The commission can only be handed out by the government, i.e. by God. Therefore, the commission has nothing to do with the manifestation, though most times the manifestation follows the commission or accompanies the commission. That means someone could be in a position where they are operating in great signs and wonders because of who they are, because of the commission on their life, all that. And if you have been commissioned to do something, then you can become the cover. You are the cover that in that specific movement. You are the cover in that specific movement. What does that mean? It simply means that, all right, you're in a position now where whatever this person does, you're now responsible for. Because as a commander of a battalion, what you allow soldiers to do in that regiment falls on your head. Go back to any war, go back and see that you will see soldiers that did horrendous things, really horrible things, even World War I and II. And if you go back and see who were actually court-martialed or who were prosecuted, it was the officers. It means if you go back and watch the things that took place in Germany in the Second World War, and you will see that guys from the Nazi the Nazi movement were actually hunted down around the world and prosecuted, I should say. And if you go in, you will see one thing in common, that you will see no non-commissioned officer being prosecuted. Why is that so? Because if you are a commissioned officer, then it means you're directly connected to the government. It means that an uncommissioned officer will do what you've told them because you're the one that is actually telling them what to do. because you're the one that has the information from the government. When you know that, it changes a lot of things. Now, like, such as what? It means that if you are someone that has been placed in a ministry as a leader, now all of a sudden you're responsible for what takes place in that ministry. If someone comes in with adultery, fornication, lying, killing, stealing, all these crazy things, then you know what I'm saying? It's not going to work out right for anyone. All right, bless you, Apostle. Thank you, sir. There you go. There you go, sir. You got it, Apostle. You got it, Apostle. You got it. And that's the reason I wish I could bring you in, because I'm sure you would actually, you have a lot to bring to the table on this. But this thing is not even, I don't even know. I wish I was on my mobile. If I was on my mobile, if there was a way for me to switch from this to the other one. All right, question, because I'm going to do just that. If I go over to my mobile, let me know if you're going to come back and join us. Come on. Everyone that will come back and join us on the mobile, I need you to actually let me know. If you will come on in and join us on the mobile, give me some hearts, give me a thumbs up, say yes, say something. And then I'm going to actually end this. Come on the mobile, because I would love to bring the apostle in, because we want to talk about the upcoming conference and revival also. But please, if you will come back and join, let me know. Go nowhere. I'm about to actually end this. So I have Sister Charmaine saying yes and many people giving thumbs up. So I'm going to assume that means I can get off and come right back in. And that's exactly what I'm about to do. So family, stay tuned. I'm going to log off and log right back in and see if we can actually continue where we left off. By the way, invite someone in for this next, for part 2. All right, bless you. Salute. To be continued. Well, to be continued when I can actually end this meeting. But come on right back in. We're going to continue. We're going to continue. But my computer says we can, which is freezing. It's not giving me the go ahead. But we will not be dictated to by a computer, will we? I'm certainly not going to be dictated to by a computer. There you go. All right, final salute. See you in a minute or two. Well, when this thing ends, my screens are really, really freezing. That's amazing of what's happening right now. Really freezing. It's doing absolutely nothing. Well, I'm glad it's freezing like this. It tells me not to use this computer now. I'm going to use my cell phone going forward. This computer is totally frozen out. It's doing nothing.